Abraham Part 2. Hello and greetings from sunny Sydney. Actually, it is quite nice at the moment, midwinter, and we're still walking around in our t-shirts. Now, in the last video I told you a bit about Abraham. In fact, I told you the bulk of the story, but I left out the political part. I'll just go over the original story briefly. You may recall I told you that he was called Abraham in those days, not Abraham, and his wife was not Sarah, it was Sarai. But for the purpose of this exercise, I'll refer to both of them as Abraham and Sarah, otherwise I'm going to get really confused, and probably you likewise. Now,
oh no, it's that weirdo again.
Kelly Wilde, I believe, was the name.
I thought we got rid of him.
Apparently not, because here he is.
What's he on about this time?
He's going to be talking about Abraham and Sarah.
He's already done that.
Yes, well, this is part 2. It's going to be all about the political side of things.
Sounds like crap.
Could be quite interesting.
Could be crap. And why is he wearing those stupid glasses?
Well, perhaps he's trying to imitate Elton John.
Yeah, right. Another fucking poofter.
So Sarah was barren, so Abraham raped his slave girl, Hagar, and as a result of that rape, he produced a son called Ishmael. Ishmael went on to, he became the father of the Islamic tribes. When Sarah was 90 years old, 90, God suddenly decided, I'm going to make you fertile. You know, at the time Abraham was 100 years old, and suddenly Sarah becomes pregnant. Yes, she did. She became pregnant at 90 years old. She gave birth to her son Isaac, and then she became really jealous of the semi-legitimate son Ishmael, and she instructed Abraham to drive them out. Get rid of those two horrible people. Don't want them anymore. So Abraham did exactly as he was told. Gutless coward. He sent her into the desert to die along with his first son. But then what happens is, it's all a little bit complicated, but God instructs Abraham to go to the land of Canaan. He's in a place called U-R, sort of down the bottom of Mesopotamia. Travel northwards through the lands of Canaan, and I will give you all those lands. But the problem was, the first time he goes there, there's a drought, everybody's starving, so he about turns and he strolls into Egypt. Quite a walk, but you know, he achieved it somehow. So he strolls into Egypt, and he says to Sarah, his wife, and also his half-sister, he's married his half-sister, he says, now look, I want you to pretend you're my full sister, and then I'm going to prostitute you to the Pharaoh. Now, she must have been quite a looker, probably the Kim Kardashian of her day, because the Pharaoh, of course, he had the pick of all the beautiful women and little girls in the whole of Egypt. But he took a shine to Sarah and, you know, had a lot of fun with her. Now, God was not impressed. This God thing, he didn't approve of men prostituting their wives. So to punish Abraham, he did exactly nothing. Abraham got off scot-free, but he punished all the innocent people of Egypt with a plague. Millions, I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands, I don't know what the population was. He punished them all with a plague, and Abraham and Sarah got off scot-free. In fact, when he left Egypt, he left with vast herds of cattle, camels, sheep, goats, I don't know, mongooses, kangaroos, I've no idea. But he left a wealthy man, jewels and money, So he did real well out of the deal. Now, what happened to the population of Egypt? I've no idea. A few of them probably survived. They must have done. So anyway, off they go. They enter the land of Canaan for the second time. And this is the important part of this story. Now, I've rushed through that. I hope I haven't confused you too much. You can always look at the original video and get a clearer picture. This is when God makes a covenant with Abraham. What's so important about this covenant is it affects everyone watching this video and everyone not watching this video to this very day. Everybody might die as a result of this covenant God makes with Abraham. God says to Abraham, now you see all this land here, look to your left, to your right, north, south, east, west. I'm going to give all that land to you and your children, your grandchildren, and so on. There's one catch. In order to become my favourite people, my chosen people, you have to slice off the end of your penis. That's the deal. And not only yours, you have to cut off the end of the penises of your children and grandchildren, and everyone thereafter has to snip off the end of their penis. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. So Abraham thinks about it. He knows there's going to be pain involved, and he also knows that, you know, with no antiseptics or, you know, sterilized knives or anything, he knows there's going to be lots of septicemia and so on. Lots of, and as happens to this day, this is the big Jewish secret, by the way, even with all the sterilized instruments and all the rest of it, a lot of Jews end up with septic penises. Their penises rot, and some of them die. You know, that's still going. That happens today. If you don't believe me, Google it. You can find out. So imagine how it must have been 3,000 years ago, with, you know, dirty old flint knives and no antiseptics or anything of that nature. But anyway, Abraham has to think about it, and he looks, oh, this looks rather good. You know, it's a nice little bit of land over there. I could build a, you know, a little hut over there, a little house. Make myself. Yeah, okay. I agree to it. I agree to this. I agree to the terms. And so there's the other problem. Yes, there's another problem, God. So you've got to drive out all the aliens. Everyone else who's here, you know, all the Canaanites and the Phoenicians and the Hittites and the, you know, Saracens. Everyone else in this. You've got to drive them out, kill them, kill every. This is actually God speaking. He says, kill every man, woman, child, and suckling. When he says suckling, he's talking about babies, breastfeeding. Let none survive. These are God's orders. Actually, those orders are not. I don't think he speaks that to Abraham. That comes a little bit later. He says that to Joshua. We'll come to that story later on. But I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of God's orders to Abraham and everybody following Abraham. You can sit down. You can relax. I'll shut up for a minute, and you can just watch what God said to Abraham, to Moses, to Joshua, and all the other Hebrews that followed on. So just relax for a minute. here's the important thing. Those instructions were issued to the Hebrews thousands of years ago, but the problem is they still apply today. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole history of the, Jewish thing and all the rest of it, but I'll bring you roughly up to date. Around about, they slaughtered everybody. They kept others as slaves. They drove the aliens out of Canaan. It's the area we now refer to as Palestine. It was a ethnic cleansing, it's called, isn't it, where you slaughter the inhabitants to take over the land. That went on for thousands of years, and let's bring you roughly up to date. Around about 70, AD 70, the Romans, they got a bit pissed off with the Jews, and they drove the Jews out of the land of Canaan, which is now, they refer to it as Israel. The Romans drove the Jews out of Israel. And the Jews settled in Europe, Russia, even Britain. Let's leap forward. During the First World War, Lawrence of Arabia promised that land to the Arabians. He said, if you fight for us, drive out the Ottoman Turks. You'll have to look this up. I'm not going to go into all the detail now because it'll just go on forever. Fight for us, drive out the Ottoman Turks, and Britain will make sure that that land is restored to you. It becomes yours. It becomes Arab land. Now, the Arabs fought for Britain, drove out the Ottoman Turks, and then we leap forward to the Second World War. And General, what was his name now? Allenby. There are newsreel clips of Allenby marching into Israel, into Jerusalem. And then there's a thing called the Balfour Declaration, where the land is given not to the Arabs as they were promised by Britain, but it's given to the Jews. They're given the land they consider to be their own. It's given to them. So the Arabs felt betrayed, as they were. Let's face it, they were horribly betrayed by Britain. Now, the Jews, ever since then, have been driving the aliens out of Palestine. Call it Israel, call it Palestine, call it whatever you like. The Jews have been to this day, they are still driving Palestinians out of their homes, bulldozing their homes, burning their orchards, and driving them into the Gaza Strip, murdering others, torturing children. It's a dreadful state of affairs. And the reason they're doing this is because God promised that land to Abraham. Do you see how the whole thing fits in? It's God's covenant with Abraham that causes the Jews to act in such a criminal manner and building all their illegal settlements, that's still going on to this day. And the USA funds the Israeli ethnic cleansing effort to the tune of $4 billion a year. Several US presidents have tried to put a stop to this ethnic cleansing and this thieving of land and this building of illegal settlements. But the Jews have become so powerful now in the USA. There's this organization called AIPAC. Don't worry, it's an acronym for Council of the Executive. Now, AIPAC says to USA presidents, you better continue supporting us or we'll drive you out of office. That's how powerful they are. So the USA, really, against its will, has to continue funding these atrocities taking place in Israel, Palestine, Gaza, so on and so forth. That's my doggy you can hear shaking himself there. It's very political and I don't want to get too deeply into it, but here is the thing. Around about 1970, an organisation called Friends of Palestine kidnapped, hijacked is the word, isn't it? 4 aircraft, flew 3 of them into the Jordanian desert and blew them up. This was the start of the revenge, if you like. This went on for the next 20 or 30 years. One guy tried to blow up the World Trade Center. He he killed a few people, couple of dozen, something like that, but injured close to 1,000 people, caused billions of dollars worth of damage. But the USA didn't wake up. They knew that aircraft were being hijacked. They knew that the World Trade Center was a target. They did nothing. They just looked the other way. As we all know, now we're bringing the whole story right up to date. On 9/11/2001, the Friends of Palestine, or as they were, Osama bin Laden and his mob, 19 Muslims flew planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. We know all about that. This was as a direct result of, and Osama bin Laden said this. Some people deny it. He actually said this. This is just the warning shot. There is worse to come. This was in revenge for America's aiding Israel, driving Palestinians out of their homeland into the Gaza Strip, the atrocities that were being committed there. That's why they flew. Nothing to do. President Bush said, oh, they did it because they hate freedom. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. They didn't hate freedom at all. Some of those guys were nightclubbers. They did it out of revenge for what was going on in Palestine. And to this day, there are atrocities being committed all over the world. Spain, London, Russia, Beslan, Turkey, even close to home, Bali, however you pronounce it, France, Germany, everywhere you look, Bulgaria, there are atrocities taking place, all as a direct result, all linked to this covenant that God made with Abraham and that the Jews have been adhering to, I don't know what the term is, ever since, except for the while they were driven out. As soon as they came back, everything's reinstated. Let's drive these Palestinians out of our land, Israel, the land that's promised to Jews. And so this is the state of the world right now. And, the moment, and you can be quite certain that the terrorists are trying to get hold of what is known as a dirty bomb, a bomb which contains fissionable material, and it'll happen, maybe not in my lifetime, but in your lifetime, this will happen. Such a bomb will be detonated somewhere in New York and possibly Piccadilly in London, and that'll put an end to, not only will it kill a great many people, it will destroy the global economy. Kiss goodbye to your savings, kiss goodbye to the dollar, the pound will be worth nothing. It'll be chaos throughout the entire world, all thanks to God's covenant with Abraham. Don't believe me? Look it up. Do a little bit of research yourself, and you'll find that what I'm saying, I might have got a few details wrong here and there, but by and large you'll find that what I'm saying is absolutely spot on. Check it out.